Hello and welcome to the Taco Tuesday
me.
podcast. I am your host, Matt, with your co-host, the UFO.
Sorry, we just ate a buffalo up here. Yeah, we were testing out the planetary meat. You know what I'm saying?
So, are you at a planetarium or?
It is a planetarium aquarium. It's a new thing that's going on around Mars. Pulled that out of my butt. So
now I don't know if
Sorry,
the rumors are true.
kids at home.
Is that where you're from?
Oh, whoa! Hang on now. You gotta buy me dinner first.
Oh.
If the audience wants to know where I'm from, they're gonna have to keep listening.
Oh, okay.
That's in my neck of the woods, but Mars is kind of in the ghetto. So I mean, that's why it's all dried up. I mean, there's nothing there. It used to be a booming metropolis, but then the liberals came, and well, let's be honest, it looks like Detroit. So yeah, that was wow.
That's a pretty.
That was
rough
shady
city.
for our show. I'm sorry about
city.
that. I'm sorry about that.
It is all good.
Even for an alien, that's cold.
That's really cold because he sees all things. You know, he is the.
I'm not God. Like I'm not all present and all knowing here. All right, continue football.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. We'll go to our football question. We're gonna just focus on one today. Quarterback free agency. Now both of our teams are out of the playoffs. Correct.
As per tradition at this point.
And
apparently
we're both sitting here thinking and wondering who will be our quarterback
of the future.
Of the future, or for the next for us in the next year or so.
Yeah.
Or this coming year.
Yes.
So so we're gonna start out with a quarterback that was recently just eliminated from the playoffs. And when I give you my prediction, it's not really gonna make sense because this team that I have him going to actually is different. And
okay, go for it.
So the question is, where does Blake Bortles go? Is Blake Bortles going to stay and make or the Jaguars
stay in
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Is Jacksonville going to keep him at the $19 million that they owe him next season, or are they going to move on because he's not quite worth it to them?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it would have been a dead set answer if they didn't win playoff games. Excuse me. If I were to tell you on paper, Blake Bortles 2-1 in the playoffs. Now I've thought about this a lot, but I think when I look at that, I say, okay, you've got a game manager with some upside that I still like. You know what I mean? I still like some of the stuff he can do. But at the same time, I get these flashbacks, sort of kind of Nom-like, of Mark Sanchez and what he did. He was also 2-1 in the playoffs. Now, granted, that was his first year and his second year, so he would have been 4-1. But
now, let me
all things considered,
yeah. Let me throw a question out to you. Because you compared Blake Bortles to a game manager, which I completely understand. That's pretty much
at this point in his career.
That's the peak of what I see his career being. Do you think? Now, granted, I'm saying this. Do you think who was better, Peyton Manning, his last season when they won the Super Bowl, or Blake Bortles this season in the playoffs specifically because Peyton got injured, and then he went into the playoffs with that
But according to Katie Nolan, Brock Osweiler won that Super Bowl. So
yes,
and she's more famous than me because it must be because of her personality. It has nothing to do with anything else. Because it can't be because of her sports analytics. But I sidetracked. But my point would be, I look at Blake Bortles and I see a guy that was one bad referee call from getting to a Super Bowl, so that helps. I mean, it wasn't like he was blown out at any point. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
He didn't do bad.
No.
I think about this. The first game against Buffalo, he goes in. It's a really good defense.
Yes.
He runs for more yards than he passes for.
Right. First playoff game, possible jitters.
He has terrible passing. His QBR, not that great.
It just looks yucky.
Yes, it was all around. It wasn't a great game.
Yeah.
It was a good game for the running backs, but a rough game for the rest of the offense.
Well, that's one of those games where the eye test and the stats are totally absolutely on par with each other.
Yeah.
So.
But he didn't. I'll say that I don't think he won that game because at the end the defense stood up and took out Tyrod.
Somebody had to, as how that game was.
So, the second game against the Steelers, he didn't really win it. He passed for 215 yards. He had a good game, 1 touchdown pass, but
he didn't screw it up.
Whereas Peyton Manning, I'm trying to make this comparison. Peyton Manning didn't run for yards, but he managed the game. Do you think Peyton did it better? He managed the game better than Blake this year, or worse? Because that would determine where, if he has an upside, or if this is his plateau.
Yeah. Also, one thing that you need to consider in that comparison, because this is interesting. Because you can actually have a discussion here with Blake Bortles, and here's what I mean by that. With Blake Bortles, he only had 1 playoff home game. Peyton Manning had several throughout the home. My understanding is the division game, was that at home? Were they the number 1 seed? Because they definitely played the Patriots not at Foxborough.
I think they were the 2 seed.
Well, they played
maybe
the Patriots at Denver. I remember that game because it was just a sea of orange. It was actually really cool. Really cool sports moment in my life.
I can't 100% remember, but
I'm almost definitely Sermon. Sermon, yeah, I'm certain. So that advantage. Now, granted, Blake Bortles also had a home game, but that was only 1. He went into Pittsburgh, and you have to also consider that the Denver defense, as good as it was, didn't have to face all the Bs, right? Because I think there was 1 or 2 Steelers that were injured in that game.
All the Bs and even a Schuster.
Right. So, but I mean, granted, Denver's defense is historically clutch. It was arguably one of the better, but I think they were more clutch. Like, they were a defense that I really enjoyed watching, just as I enjoyed the 2013 offense of Denver. So, but I'm a closet Denver fan, I guess. I don't know. But, top 5. But anyways, so I would say Blake Bortles has almost reached his peak. I would say his peak perhaps is above average, kind of an Alex Smith range, which I would take, and I would argue several teams in this league would take. Now, would I take it in the Jets? I don't know. He's younger. I do like that. Mm-hmm. But the defense that he had was really good. I don't know if he can carry my team. But I think if he can get the ball in the hands of the players, then yes, I like that.
Okay, so you think he stays with the Jaguars at $19 million next season?
I think he did better this year than, and this is bold, than, not really actually when you think about it, but I think he did better this playoff run in overall with the eye test than Peyton did in his final. Although Peyton had Peyton had some moments that I think stood out a little more. There was that one in the Pittsburgh game that I thought stood out. Of course, Pittsburgh has never been known recently for their defense. So I think Blake Bortles has shown me enough as the Jaguars to keep him another year. I'm also hoping that as a Jets fan, so Kirk Cousins goes somewhere to greener pastures, Lord willing. So, but that's another discussion.
Well, I'm trying to shake up the quarterback layout in the NFL.
Sure.
So the available quarterbacks, Bortles this season. I don't think that Tom Coughlin will keep that $19 million. I think they'll let him go.
Interesting.
I think they'll let him walk, and I'll say that the Vikings pick him up.
Oh,
he would become
interesting.
a Minnesota Viking. He has a defense. He has
True.
Stephon Diggs. He has Adam Thielen. He has
Still young.
Yes,
You're right.
They're young.
He is too.
Yes, he's young. They have a really good running back in what's the guy that got hurt early in the season?
Yeah.
So I think that might be a good place for him to land, but that would mean that none of the other quarterbacks come back. So that's what I'm hinging that on. So
boy, you just really want a huge offseason.
I do. I just really do. All right, so let's move on to Teddy Bridgewater. Do you think he stays or goes from the Vikings?
Depending on what they say about his injury, I think there's a chance that he goes. I think that everybody's going to forget about how he was decent, how he was a first-round pick. I think people have short-term memories with that because if one team has a bad experience with a player, everybody just casts them off like it's nothing. Now, if that great player, that like generational talent, is a quarterback that goes to Cleveland or is just a decent quarterback with potential, they're just going to, impale him. But it's just kind of a waste of talent. It's like they have a freaking sacrifice every year. You know what I mean? Like, and somebody gets the short end of the straw, and it's like, well, your career's done before it even started. But anyways, it's quite frankly, I forgot what we were talking about. I'm sorry.
Bridgewater, do you think he stays or goes, and if he goes, where to?
Ooh, I don't know. They are in a really tight spot. Let's make this interesting. Teddy Bridgewater goes.
Okay.
And they keep. I don't know if the Jets would take a flyer. I know there's a chance if Kirk Cousins walks, that maybe the Redskins might. There's a chance. There's a lot of things here because what you could get are the Saints, or you could get like the Chargers, or you could get the Giants who could jump on him. You could get Denver could take a flyer on this guy. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater could be a good quarterback. I don't know about great. I don't know about transcending, but I think he could be a good quarterback, a Kirk Cousins level, Yeah.
I would. I don't think he stays with Minnesota. As I kind of stated, I think Blake Bortles might go.
That would be fascinating, wouldn't it?
If Teddy Bridgewater, I don't love the pickup for my team, but I think the Denver Broncos would take a flyer
on Teddy?
On Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh.
I'm not in love with it because it's not a big name person.
Yeah.
But he is decent and he can become a bridge guy.
Yeah, he could. And he's still young.
Yes.
So if he becomes the guy, you've got a chance.
Yes, he can develop into the guy, but at this moment you can look at him and say, you have talent, we have some people around you that can make you a little better.
Plug and play, He's played in this league.
He's played in the league. I would say this, I think Denver's, as much as it's not a wonderful pick, I would say I believe that the Broncos with the fifth pick will go offensive line. They'll go
that would be smart.
With the guard.
No offense to Denver in the sense of but they do need to solidify that line a little bit better.
So I think I would love to get a tackle, but at 5 there is no tackle. So
sure.
So I think Teddy Bridgewater would be a safe pickup for the Broncos somewhere around. I think you could get Teddy Bridgewater with his injury, not being able to play. You could possibly get him to sign for probably somewhere around 12 to 15 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we signed Fitzpatrick for that kind of money, and he wasn't worth it. But,
he's a veteran, but he's not.
Yeah, but he's not the guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if he did become the backup, it's not the end of the world to pay him that amount of money.
Excuse me.
Okay, so then now we're going to move on to Jimmy G.
Real quick. Sorry. I just want to throw this into the Denver conversation, and then we're done on this part. I would find that fascinating if they signed him because I know you're not a big fan of injury-prone guys.
Yes.
So we will touch that topic later on, especially if he signs.
Yeah.
That is going to be fascinating. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all. I'm just saying that knowing you and just what kind of a conversation that would be. That would be really interesting.
As I said, I'm not all for it. I don't think it would be an amazing thing, but it would get us to
see how it plays out. Yes. To see how it plays out also. Yeah. So it's a two-pronged thing. It's like, the first side is, this is something that I want to get Matt's opinion on, and I want to see how this plays out. Yeah. So, anyways, continue.
Okay, Jimmy G. Do you think he stays or goes?
Oh, Jimmy G is staying.
Okay, I agree.
Oh, my goodness. Completely. Now, if the Jets could get him, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? If the Jets could get him, go ahead. That'd be the steal of the century, and it would be the most ironic thing ever. I think it would be beautiful. I think it would be absolutely beautiful.
I think Jimmy G's a bit of a tease, but I think he is good.
I think he's been solid, yeah. I mean, he's shown some stuff.
I think he's a tease, though. I don't think he's as great as...
No, he's not like the next greatest, yeah.
But he is good.
Well, everybody's acting like he's the next, Steve Young, to the Joe Montana.
Tom Brady.
Well, I mean, if you want to throw check downs and have the greatest coach of all time, then go right ahead. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's fine. But
yeah. Okay, so we agree on that. Not much of a discussion.
No, he's staying.
Kirk Cousins.
Uh-huh.
Stay, go. If he goes, where to?
Well, the prettiest girl in the prom, everybody's going to want to ask her out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, the question is, I was lucky enough to marry that kind of a girl, but... I will someday,
alien.
But
that kind of an alien.
Yeah, that kind of an alien. Hey, maybe I'm into humans. I don't know. That got weird. So my point is, what am I thinking? Kirk Cousins. That is the most fascinating thing that you're going to see. A guy that is a franchise quarterback hitting the market relatively in his prime. That could be in his prime for the next 5 to 6 years to 7.
Yeah.
And the way I think about that is, if you're a team and you want to sign the guy, you're thinking, oh, yeah, I want the guy for the next 10, 15 years. And I'm thinking, where am I going to be in 5 years? I'm going to be 30, all right? That's 5 years, right?
You're going to be 30,000, right?
1,000 years old because I'm an alien. But, that's a long time. I kind of want to win a championship in that time, right?
Yeah, 30.
Wouldn't you want to do that again? That is a long... So, grab a guy. Also, you've got contracts from guys that are starting to get good. If you got some good young players, you don't want them to wait around for a couple years while your quarterback finally gets it. And then you only have a few rocks to throw when you're in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to go in on this guy.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You and I have discussed this. You and I have discussed this in depth. I think it goes down to Jacksonville, Denver, Redskins, obviously, and the Jets. Not necessarily in that order. If I were the Redskins, I'd sign him. I'd apologize. I would massage his feet. I would get him an ESV Bible. Okay, because the man loves the Lord. Oh yes, we aliens know about the Messiah, but I would say that this guy needs to, whatever you need to do to get him, you get him. Now, here's my opinion. Jacksonville, I think, has seen enough from Kirk Cousins. The guy led him to the championship game. They were one bad call away from winning.
You mean Blake
and
Bortles?
Getting to the
You've seen enough from Blake Bortles? Or?
I've seen enough from Blake Bortles to say at least one more year. Let's see what you can do. Is this a fluke? A Case Keenum thing? Not that Case Keenum is terrible, but that he is a better version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, yes, I think Blake Bortles is a younger version of maybe a Case Keenum, but not as implosive. I don't know about that, actually.
He's definitely a younger
You didn't hear
Alex
that.
Smith.
Yes. You didn't hear the Keenum who? What? So I think Jacksonville will hang on to their guy. I think the Redskins I think they're going to do it. I think that they're going to let him go. And I think it's gorgeous. I love it. Now, who does that leave? What did I say? Oh, Denver. The biggest thing stopping Denver, I know Denver's got, everybody has recently been saying they've got the team, they've got the stuff. That is, if I'm stepping outside the situation, that is a very good point. I don't know if they have the cap space. I don't know if we talked about Elway. We talked about all the. Kirk Cousins could go in there and he could put up some numbers. He could be Peyton Manning light. You know what I mean? He could be, yes. Now the evidence. The big thing that I've heard with Elway is he didn't want to overpay Brock Osweiler. He did, a couple years ago you drafted a first round pick, so you don't want to admit that was wrong essentially and make him a backup. Mm-hmm. So complications there that I still don't want to budge from because I'm like that to me seems, Now the Jets, I'm biased. I mean, but with Mike Maccagnan. You've seen that he can't necessarily draft the guy at quarterback. Of course, if everybody could do it so easily, it would have been every team in the league would have, their guy. So it is hard. But if I'm Mike Maccagnan, I'm looking at the fact that everybody in New York is saying you've got to find the guy now. You don't get one more year. You either draft a guy or you find the guy. This is the year to do it. Mm-hmm. You missed on Bryce Petty. Bryce Petty could be a backup still. You missed on Christian Hackenberg. He's going to take about 10 years to develop. You missed on, all this stuff. And I'm not trying to, I think Christian Hackenberg had a great ceiling. He's kind of like, I like Josh Allen in measurables, but he scares the crap out of me too because he reminds me of Christian Hackenberg. Mm-hmm. So what do I see if I'm the Jets? Let me tell you something. I roll up that limousine. I open that door, and I just offer him a block of gold right off the bat. No questions asked. You can take that home. You re-sign with the Redskins. You get to sit on this every day on your office chair. You can sit on a freaking block of gold. It'll be uncomfortable, but who cares? It's gold. That's what I would do.
To his butt.
You could get him a golden toilet. If I were the Jets, I would get Kirk Cousins a golden toilet. Let me tell you something. If Kirk Cousins becomes a Jet, all right? Now, is money an issue for the Jets? No. Gang Green has got the green, and we are going to dish that crap out, okay? Now, I said crap because of his golden toilet. Mm-hmm. I wasn't being lazy at all. That was actually intentional. But I would also say,
what are you going to do if the Jets get him?
I'm going to buy a jersey. I'm going to marry... I'm going to get married regardless, but I'm going to... what won't I do if the Jets get him?
Something crazy out there.
I know. Well, when we signed Eric Decker, I ran around naked in an environment that was appropriate, believe it or not. So,
space.
Nobody was going to see me.
Yeah, lots of astronauts were
not in that. No, not in that district. No. You don't want to go in that district as an astronaut. They don't like those. They don't prefer that kind.
So what will you do if Kirk Cousins goes to the Jets?
Oh, what won't I do? As I said, I'm going to freak out. Because here's the thing. Jamal Adams is ascending. Marcus May is doing well. Leonard Wood, my boy, the big cat, is getting better. You have young pieces in place. You've got just pieces all over. We've got young wide receivers, a new one, and people like this. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I cannot remember Robbie Anderson. I was like, I'm going to kick myself. Robbie Anderson is becoming nice. He is going to jail. Well, I don't even know. I'm just ignoring it at this point because I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Figure it out. Stop being an idiot, Yeah. Figure it out because I like him, I like this man.
Do you want to know where I think Kirk Cousins is going?
He's going to the Jets, man. I'm kidding. Go. Where do you think?
I think Blake Bortles is gone. They have $19 million left. I think Kirk Cousins ends up a Jag.
I've heard that.
And it just makes
it would work.
Sense.
It would.
They have the cap space. They have all house money on the defense, other than Calais Campbell and Malik Jackson. Pretty much everyone else is home money, as in they drafted. And Barry Church, excuse my French,
Are you swearing at me?
No.
I don't know.
I left Barry Church out of there.
Ha, 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 ha.
So Kirk Cousins makes sense as a fit for a high-powered offense with a really good running back, which he hasn't had.
It's true.
Because, let's face it, the Redskins don't have a running game for him.
Ugh.
Those
racists.
Seriously. They just going to Jacksonville would be perfect for him.
Yes. That does make sense.
Yeah,
Let me counter.
I'm not
okay.
I'm not gonna rule out the Jets or Broncos or literally I'm not gonna rule out anyone.
We're being homers. Let's be honest in that.
I'm not gonna rule out the Browns.
Oh, that gives me diarrhea just thinking about it.
But
and not just because of Brown. Like that's just that poor man deserves better. I mean, would he elevate that if Kirk Cousins goes there and sucks?
The Browns are gonna.
They're gonna win a game, maybe.
They're gonna at least win 6 games.
Okay.
That
I could see it. I could see it.
This coming season.
Yeah, but that's seen as an accomplishment. Like that is like, oh my gosh, the Browns are gonna win 6 games. Like that's. I mean, okay, it is nice. I like the Browns in that sense. No. Well, let me tell.
Okay,
yeah.
So with that, okay. So if the Browns or not, if Kirk Cousins goes to the Jags,
yep.
No one's in Washington. Who goes to Washington, you may ask? In my opinion, I think Sam Bradford would become at least a backup.
Ugh.
He would be the Redskins starter until the time that they either draft a guy this year, and then let him, kind of play for a couple games, and then once Bradford gets hurt, he becomes the backup to this young guy. That would be because the Redskins are going to be desperate and they're going to want someone. And I don't think he's going to stay a Viking because they're paying way too much for him.
I will say this.
On that roster.
I will say this. If the Jets get Kirk Cousins, just really throwing that out. I know. I'm just going to say this real quick. The Jets get Kirk Cousins, they will become the Jags of last year.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could go there. Yes. Because we've got the money to sign the right guys. Now, of course, again,
but there's
barring a stupid decision or two.
It's not all house money on the defense. And the defense isn't as fast or as skilled.
But they could be.
Quarterbacks.
But that one good off season, and they're the Jags. That's what I'm saying. One good off season left, and they are one step behind them. Jags are like a step ahead, so Kirk Cousins could be like, yeah, I got like a 3-year window, 4-year. With the Jets, it'd be like 5 in New York City. Okay, continue. Bradford?
Yeah.
Just throwing that out. I'm not biased.
I'm
just saying.
That's true, but okay.
Well,
I disagree on a lot of levels with that, but okay.
That's okay. Yeah, this is why it's a debate show too,
So
because somebody's wrong and somebody's right. Bradford.
Where does Bradford go to break his leg?
Oh,
literally.
Lord, I pray. Lord in heaven, I pray it's not the Jets. I'm gonna die. But I would say, yeah, I mean, like he'd do good for like 5 games. It'd literally be Josh McCown all over again.
You're literally looking at Bradford and being a backup to a starter role. That's what he's gonna be.
I would say, oh gosh, what do I think? Well, didn't you say Redskins? Because I that'd be
Redskins,
nice. Sure. Banish him.
Yeah.
Put him in Cleveland, and put Alex Smith in Buffalo. I'm not feeling generous. Good.
Where?
Me too.
So we're gonna move on. So where does Case Keenum go?
Case Keenum could go to the Jets. Could go to the Jets, actually. Okay. And I say that I'm going to say that outside of the Jets fans, in me, he could go to the Jets. I think that would be a plausible thing.
I think he's going to New York, but I think he's going to the Giants.
Oh.
The New York Giants, New York Football Giants, as they are well known. The New York
the humble
Football Giants.
Yeah. I like how they have to remind you what sport they play.
They hired a new head coach. Do you know where that new head coach is from?
Minnesota. girl.
the offensive
Oh,
coordinator.
and then they could go after even Teddy.
The head coach has already said he's going after Case Keenum.
Oh.
He's already said it. So
Okay.
I think Case Keenum ends up New York Giants, whether that is a backup to Eli or not.
Oh,
time will tell.
Eli.
Any debate on that? You think New York? Either way. So
whatever.
okay. Alex Smith,
Let him go.
Alex Smith, I think, goes to the Bills.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that they should retain Tyrod Taylor. I mean, the city loves them.
No,
the city is absolutely
the city
very,
hates Tyrod.
very. No, I think that they're
All
very
Bills
level-headed
fans hate
and
Tyrod.
smart about the decision, and I think that it's well thought out, and I think it's a rational fan base, and they are not emotionally beat down with a freaking fence post. Oh, well, I'm not saying that they're not all irrational. They love football. That echo chamber that exists in Buffalo stuns me. Oh, my gosh.
No, I concur.
Good people, though. I've met good Buffalo fans. I've met cocky ones, though. Why?
I don't know. They're like more proud Browns fans, pretty much. It's kind of what they are.
I don't know. At least we made it to the Super Bowl to lose.
We won.
You know, yeah. You guys suck.
So
We suck, but with style.
I think Tyrod. Okay, I'll jump and I'll say I think Tyrod goes to the Jets and Alex Smith goes to the Bills.
Tyrod. I would enjoy that.
Tyrod to the Jets.
Yes.
Stays in division, which is good.
Yes.
But
smart.
Alex Smith.
Excuse me.
He's coming to the end of his career. He's there. I think the Chiefs will trade him to the Bills. The Bills will have to give up something, maybe like a second-round pick, and to get him, and then he becomes the starter.
I just don't think they'll get past the division round with him. And then the complaint will be, he's not Brady. He's not Brady. Well, frick, according to most people, nobody is. Okay, you know, in NFL history. Unless you're Brady. It's just frustrating. I think Brady... Okay, I kind of made a reference earlier that triggered a bunch of Patriot fans. Listen, Brady is a winner. You know, he can get the job done for the most part. And when the referees help and you give him enough shots, he'll eventually hit. And I think, now the thing is Bills fans have watched Brady shred them for almost 20 years.
And Jet fans.
Oh, naturally. But we have more reason to hate him. I'm just saying that we don't have the same reaction as Bills fans, I think, with Brady. I think with them, they're just kind of hopelessly looking at him like he's this giant god that's like smiting them all the time, and the Jets are just like, oh no, he's not a god. We kind of are like the scientists that accidentally create. Like, imagine if the professor that made the Powerpuff Girls made, like, you know, Ebola, and like it just started spreading, and it was like, oh shoot, like my bad. That was like the reaction of like Jet fan, and then the Bills fans are kind of like the people that are getting affected by the disease, and they're like, what happened? And the gangrene's like, my bad. I don't know if that was a good example, but
not at all.
No, that was awful. I didn't either. So I guess my point...
He lost me when the Powerpuff Girls came into it. I was like...
Well, that was a great 90s reference.
Are the Powerpuff Girls the Jets fans? I'm not...
No, they're they weren't in the example. They instead of them who are gonna save the day.
It's such a confusing reference.
Focus.
I didn't know where we were going.
Track with me here. It's not them. It's that they are the disease. Instead, they become a disease. Like the professor's like, "Oops, chemical X. Oh no, it's a life-threatening disease." No, it's just Ebola. It's just Ebola. It's like it's
not a rotting foot disease.
No, not this time. But no, we created this monster. They are ravaged by it constantly because we have beaten the Patriots before. I think they beat the Patriots like without Brady once before. up to like 2012, they beat him with Ryan Fitzpatrick,
Yeah.
and they ran him out of town. I mean, it was
They
like
run everyone out of town.
they do, and then they go to another team and win a Super Bowl or something. It's just it's funny, but they don't have the pay. I could go on a whole rant about why I think Buffalo will constantly be stuck in the pit of misery, but ironically, this team technically was able to make the playoffs. And who was the quarterback of this team?
Tyrod Taylor.
How about that? Now, of course,
now just imagine
he has his limits.
If they hadn't benched Tyrod against the Chargers, what would have happened? The playoff race would have been totally different.
It would have, but I don't know if he would have won. But it certainly wouldn't have been like that.
No,
see, Tyrod. If they want Alex Smith, which I could see, he would be a better passer. I think slightly better like if Tyrod is like a 5 or a 6 when it comes to intermediate passes and everything. His deep ball is beautiful. Alex Smith has got nothing on Tyrod's deep ball. But here's the thing with Tyrod Taylor: give him a clean pocket, give him good receivers, he can make some stuff happen. I don't think that. But with Alex Smith, you're going to see slightly better passing and everything else, but eventually you have the same guy. Yeah. He's a game manager. He's all that stuff. So you have to build a team to go with that quarterback. And what I think they're waiting for is a quarterback who's just going to solve all the problems at once and then build a team. Yep. Nobody does that. Not even the Patriots, okay?
Not any team in the NFL.
Nobody has done...
Not even the Browns.
No. Well, here's the problem I have. Yes, you can have a quarterback come in and be an adult and really good and everything else, but if your team stinks, the quarterback is going to suffer. Now everybody says, "Well, Tom Brady makes everybody great." Oh no! The Patriots have a system where they can just plug and play people. You know what I mean? Like they have certain types of players that work in a certain type of machine. Oiled machine that they use. So, Wes Welker goes out of there, plug in Julian Edelman. Same kind of guy. Why are these late round steals?
At first it was Amendola.
That's it. I'm sorry.
It was Julian Edelman. And now
but do you see what I'm saying?
Because of that. Yeah.
Because they have limited roles that they do well. And here's the thing. The separation, this is what frustrates me. Okay? Tom Brady does what he needs to do for the most part. And I think when the separation these wide receivers are able to get is incredible, right? So in the Patriot system, you're not throwing the ball over 35 yards hardly at all unless you need to.
Rare.
It's very dink and dunk, short passes. The guys are wide open. Brady's just
one of the only players they throw at least 30 yards down the field to is usually Gronk.
Right.
And
it's a 50-50 pass to Gronk, and you have the greatest tight end of all time. Of course he's going to catch it. And people say I'm poo-pooing his legacy. No, I'm actually putting a magnifying glass to what he does, which I don't just look at like
Tom Brady.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Now, in reference to Bills fans, Alex Smith can do that, but he can't do it to that effective level, I guess, because they don't build this. Because the Patriots have built this system just to win. Yeah, and they could plug in anybody in it.
Literally look at this team and the current roster of wide receivers and tight ends. I'll look at it and say, okay, what does it remind me of? Well, they kind of remind me of the season that the Patriots went perfect because who do they have? Randy Moss.
Right.
Who does Randy Moss remind me of? Hogan. Now Hogan's not as good, granted. But Hogan's a big target that can go deep. He can run routes close as well. They have Cooks. Who's Cooks remind me of?
Right.
Kind of reminds me of, I don't even know who the other guy was, but they had another wide receiver.
Oh, gosh, I know who you're talking about.
They also had Welker that season. And
yes.
Amendola's Welker. So
see, that's the thing.
They plug in players that have fit that system.
Right.
Just like teams of the past, which is fine. You can do whatever you want, but they continue to win.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Now, granted, I would argue we could have a whole discussion on, some of the stuff with the Pats. I mean, a couple of third and outs, and all of a sudden, almost like clockwork, there's a flag. It's just kind of like, it's starting to become a little laughably predictable, but we won't.
About it so much.
So, but what I'm saying is, Bills fans should not expect that kind of success. They should build a team around the QB and stop constantly blaming the guy that's been at the office the longest. Yes. And giving immunity to whoever they hired last. You know what I mean? Like it's not a recipe for success.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways.
Okay, my last quarterback. This is kind of a mixed question.
Okay.
AJ McCarron. Do you think he stays, goes, and if he goes, where to? And do you think he is a long-term starter?
I don't know.
Because
I could see him going. I could see him going.
AJ McCarron has to choose.
Yeah.
And it's February 15th. He has to choose by.
Right.
And that because he has a player option.
Right.
For another year. So really, he might not be on the free agent market.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if it's a player option and I'm AJ McCarron, I want to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially with this market as is right now, I want to get out. So, where do you think? And do you think he is?
Well, the Browns went for him. I think he's a backup at this point until he proves he can be a starter.
Yes.
I don't really know necessarily as much. I see him as a Case Keenum type guy, and that's pretty optimistic. But
I would agree. I don't think he's going to start wherever he goes, but I agree. I think the Browns might be that fit. And here's the reason I can take or leave him actually going to the Browns. The Browns made a signing over the weekend.
Okay.
Over the weekend, kind of middle of last week. Do you know who they signed as their new offensive coordinator?
No, can you remind me?
It's Todd Haley. The offensive
okay.
coordinator for the Steelers.
Yes. Okay.
Now, what's the comparison that everyone's made for what's his name, Deshaun Kaiser?
Big Ben.
Everyone's called him Big Ben.
Yeah.
I see. Sticking to it, and I don't think the Browns go quarterback.
All right. I hope you're right. I really do.
They stick with
Kaiser.
Kaiser, yes, thank you. And they move forward with Haley, see if this kind of works out, and I think I've been saying it, I think they trade that first pick. And I think they get more picks for next year, but they drop in the draft. They get, I think they'll go Shaquan Barkley, and then they'll go with a wide receiver in the second round, or in the later first round. But AJ McCarron would be interesting as a Browns backup quarterback, but he doesn't really fit Todd Haley's system because he's not a gigantic guy. He's 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 200. He's a regular sized guy compared to Deshaun Kaiser, Big Ben, who's 6'6", 6'5", 240, 250 pounds.
Yeah.
They're just big, thick guys.
Yeah.
So, other than the Browns, maybe he would be a backup, maybe to the Jets as a backup, or maybe to the Jets as a safety fall. If the Kirk Cousins doesn't work out, or Tyrod Taylor doesn't work out, AJ McCarron's there. You can still pick him up.
Right.
So.
And I think wherever, if Tyrod Taylor goes to a place that isn't like the Browns, I think he'll do decent. And if he goes to the Jets, I think he'll have a better career there than he would maybe Buffalo. If he goes to the Jets and is like 2015 Tyrod Taylor, and becomes a bit better of a passer, he's going to be a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Or Denver, like I said. Sorry,
Yeah.
Denver would be a solid place for him because he doesn't throw turnovers. So
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, so that's all the time we have today. We're signing off from Taco Tuesday. I am
Word.
Matt, and this is the UFO.
Yeah, that's me. Oh.